Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie, and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thanks for tuning in. The theme of this episode is none other than relationship drama. Why are we surprised? It seems Reddit is a hot spot for relationship drama stories, okay? We love the relationship drama, honestly. It's like I can empathize, but it's like I'm just glad I'm not writing on Reddit about my relationship problems, or don't have something to write on Reddit about my relationship problems. But anyways, let's get right into the episode. The title of the first story is Am I the Asshole for Telling My Fiancée Her Tattoo of My Dead Brother Makes Me Uncomfortable? This is crazy. Trigger warnings, emotional abuse and manipulation, accident, trauma, grief, mentions of mental health, property damage, abuse, and abortion. That is a lot of trigger warnings. My older brother, 30 male, while I'm 29 male, passed away 3 years ago in a motorcycle accident. This effed me up severely. Still does. He was my best friend, and we had the whole inseparable since we knew each other type shit. Even if he was older, he was never the stereotypical older brother bully sort, and I loved him for that. Anyway, my fiance, who I will call Bella, is 28 female and met him only a few times, but always said she admired our bond as she has no real siblings of her own. Only step, but they aren't close. A few weeks ago, Bella surprised me with an effing tattoo she got in memory of my brother. It's this pretty effing big, realistic grayscale tattoo of his face with a little Snoopy icon beside it on her upper arm, with his nickname we use and his birth and death dates underneath. When I saw this, I was effing stunned. She said she did it as a tribute to him and to support me because she knows how much I still struggle with grief. I honestly didn't know what to say at first, but the more I sat with it, the more it bothered me. I told her, gently as much as I could, to be honest, that I appreciated the gesture, but found the tattoo really uncomfortable. Like it's unsettling to see his face on my fiance's body. Like it's too much, especially since they barely even knew each other. She got upset and said I was being weird about a nice gesture and making her regret doing something so beautiful. Her words, not mine. Now she's distant, and my mom thinks I should just be thankful that someone loved my brother enough to memorialize him. But first off, I didn't ask her to do this. And now I'm stuck with a fiance that won't even talk to me properly, and my brother's perfectly black and gray eyes staring at me when I'm laying beside her. And honestly, I don't even want to think of how horrifying having sex would be with that on her arm. Am I being unreasonable? Asshole-ish? Am I right to ask her to get it covered up or like zoinked off? Sorry. Zoinked off. I guess I'm adding some additional details because I don't know how to respond individually. My fiance and I both have tattoos, and many of them. I have smaller ones, she has bigger ones. To my knowledge, neither of us are mentally ill in any capacity, and we are on medication. I can't believe I have to write this. And ever since my reaction, she's been wearing longer sleeved shirts in the daytime. At work, she has to anyway, but that's for home too. It's only during bedtime that I really see it with her wearing tanks, and it physically hurts. That's like the most wild. Okay. I would understand if you were like thinking, oh, maybe I should get like a little, like the miniature little like angel wings with his initials or something. And I feel like that I'd be like, okay, I'm not really sure why you have to do that, especially if like the brother's not doing that and he's like the one that was closest to him. But that would be a little less like weird, and I would be like, okay, whatever. Like I can get past that. But a portrait of his face, big head on her arm, is crazy. That is crazy. I don't even know how I would be able to get past that because the mentally ill thing is crazy. Like, I'm sorry, she's definitely has to be like something has to be going on, right? For her to think that's normal, or maybe not mental illness, but maybe she just has absolutely no self-awareness or like, social awareness of like what's normal, which okay, but like I'm sure he would already know that, right? Like, is she just unaware? Is she just completely unaware? Because that's what it's giving. Someone said, does she have other tattoos? Okay, she obviously does, because he already said that. Someone said, if this is true, it's a bizarre thing for her to do. You don't have any rights to what she does with her body, but it's pretty reasonable to ask her to cover it. Opie said, I will probably ask for her to remove it completely, though I'm guessing it'll be a hard conversation, and she will expect me to pay for it, which I don't necessarily mind, but it sucks anyway. I was initially going to suggest a cover-up, but I read some comments saying it would be difficult. I'm not sure, but I'll figure it out once we speak about it again. I cannot imagine how long that's going to take. She's going to have to get her arm freaking crumpled off like 27 times before that goes away. That's like, I mean, I feel like it's already hard enough to remove small tattoos. It still takes like 78 years to remove them. So I can only imagine like a fucking portrait of someone's face.
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/storytimesociety and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
Okay, the next day, there's an update. After breakfast this morning at around 7:30, it's 10:34 as I write this, by the way, I sat down, already was sitting down after eating, but yes, whatever, with my fiancé and spoke about the effing tattoo again. I basically echoed all the comments I've received, which, by the way, I'm so grateful for the most part, because some of them were crazy. Anyway, I told her again that the tattoo made me very uncomfortable and wasn't the leap she needed to take to comfort or support me on my journey with grief, as I still had a firm belief that she didn't do this in a malicious manner. She was quiet initially and then asked if she could explain herself, and I said I was willing to listen. To summarize, she said she simply got the tattoo because she thought it would symbolize the extent she would go to love me and support me. And said in that way, I had both people I loved so much in the same place. Her words, not mine. She did say she was sorry and that she wouldn't have done it if she knew that I wouldn't have liked it. I asked her why she hadn't spoken to me about it prior, and she said it wouldn't have been a surprise then, which is what she wanted it to be. She also said, and I'm remembering this fresh and internally cringing as I write this, lol, that the tattoo was meant to be a symbol of a new beginning because we're going to get married in a couple of months, and she wanted to turn over old leaves. I'm still stuck on what she meant, so I'd appreciate any word sleuths helping me in this. To wrap it up, I said I didn't want to end our relationship over this, and I really wanted to move on from it, but that she needed to either cover it up or laser it off, and she was, to say the least, not very happy about it. Said a cover-up would be complicated and it would take too long. Said laser might be painful and looks scary from the videos. Also, she said she likes how the tattoo looks along with the other ones, and asked if it would be okay with her just covering it up either with clothes or foundation. I was as firm as I could be. Mind you, this is the woman I've loved for 5 years straight, so admittedly I'm soft. But I reiterated that I wanted it either gone by a cover-up or laser. She was quiet then, and that's honestly where the conversation ended. She already left for work at 10, and I'm going to start my own work now as I work remotely from home after I finish this. Anyways, I hope this works out, and I would appreciate any advice. I did read a comment that shamed me for taking this to Reddit instead of speaking with her first, so I will prioritize our communication first, but we'll hopefully keep this updated. Thanks for all the help for now. That is so funny how, like, people on Reddit, sorry, this is the first thing I'm addressing after reading that, but it's so funny how people, like, why are you on Reddit? Have you ever been on Reddit? Do you know that mostly everyone posts for advice because they don't know what to do? So, yeah, of course he's going to post before he talks to her. What do you mean? He wants to know what he should do from an outside perspective. Like, it's so funny how, like, oh my God, it's so actually crazy how annoying people can be. Top comments. To be honest, her actions and her explanation make me think she's extremely codependent. It sounds like she was trying to make your grieving process about her in some way. Turning over a new leaf sounds like she wants you to put the grief in the past because it's not actually about her. I went through something similar with my ex, trying to insert himself in my loss and trying to control how I grieved, wanting me to need him in a certain way instead of just being there for me. I would suggest seeing a therapist, both for grief and to be sure of your relationship. Not saying leave her, but there are multiple red flags here, and I don't mean the ink. That's great advice. And I agree. I do think that she was saying that in a way of, like, saying, we're starting a new chapter, so, like, leave this in the past, and this is the way to solidify that, like, you can be over it now. You can be over the grief. You can move on and, like, let it go. That's, like, kind of what it was seeming like to me. Okay. Next day. Update. It's final. I've broken up with her. I don't even know why I'm writing this other than to get some closure on this situation and maybe some support. I've read so many comments this morning, and while it didn't go the way I or anyone anticipated, I've taken my decision, though I'm struggling to accept it myself. Last night when Bella came home from work, I made sure to make dinner and asked if we could talk after dinner in the back garden. She said that was okay, but that she needed time to shower and unwind before dinner, so she'd be a bit late, but that I could start eating. I agreed, and she went upstairs while I ate the dinner I'd made with the TV on in the back. She came down about an hour later while I was winding things up and washing the dishes from earlier, and I offered to get her a hot plate, and she agreed, saying that she would eat it on the couch in our living room rather than the kitchen where we have a dining table, also where I ate. I said that was fine, and I brought it over to her, and as I gave it to her while she was sitting, her hand out to take it, I somehow managed to drop it, and the hot spag bowl went all over her. I immediately apologized profusely and went to grab her some water and tissues, towels, but she started screaming at me. I do not want to make myself sound like a victim in this, so I want to be careful with how I write this. But yes, she started saying that I did it on purpose and that I was punishing her for our conversation that morning and for the tattoo in general. I immediately defended myself as I brought over a damp towel and some tissues and said I knew I had a steady grip on the plate, so there was no way I had done that on purpose. Also saying that I always spoke respectfully and calmly to her about the tattoo situation and that I would never escalate things like this. Things beyond are a blur, but we had a big fight and she broke many, and I mean many of our glasses and plates, and even tried to pull off a cabinet door in our kitchen that was already not in good condition and threw anything around her at me. By the end of it, I said I couldn't be with her anymore and that this was the last straw, and left for my parents' house. I haven't returned and I haven't picked up any of her calls or messages, and I'm honestly afraid of what she'll do to my belongings if she so easily broke so much of the shit that we bought together. I'm still at my parents' house, and I haven't told them either, but I think this is it. This may be the last update because I don't know if I can focus on this when I have everything else I need to resolve. Thanks for all of your comments. I really appreciated them, and I never expected this outcome. Peace and love to all that helped. Yeah, so she kind of showed, like, her true colors of being, like, that's really scary. Throwing stuff at someone, I mean, I feel like that's very abusive. Even if it didn't hit him, like, that's still very abusive and scary. Because imagine if it did. Like, imagine if she threw a plate at his face and it hit him. That's really concerning. See, that's why I'm like, I feel like she needs to literally go get evaluated or something. Like, I feel like something has to be happening here other than just, like, she thought that it was, like, she was just innocent in all of this. I mean, I feel like maybe, I don't know, something. Okay, this is 4 days later. Hi, posting this here for closure. Ex-fiancé has gotten a removal scheduled for next week and has called, texted, and gotten her friends to message me and to apologize. I responded and asked to speak, and we met yesterday at my parents' house to speak with my parents mediating, just for safety and efficiency. She apologized numerous times and asked to give her a chance, saying that she's never been like this before and it's all a result of a stupid thing she's now embarrassed and ashamed of, referring to the tattoo. I reiterated that it wasn't even really the tattoo that had caused me to leave at the end of the day, but rather her explanation for it and how violent she got with me so easily. My parents were on my side for this, but asked me to be gentle prior, and so I was. I told her I couldn't see us being together any longer, so that's that. Through our conversation, lasted probably the entire late afternoon and evening, I did learn other things. While we were dating much younger, on and off, she had kept 2 pregnancies from me and had gotten an abortion. I don't blame her for this action, as I understand the many multifaceted reasons that she must have had, and she does have that right over her body. This isn't of much relevance, but I just wish I had known, because we could have better prevented, like gotten better condoms, so she didn't have to go through that. Didn't even have to tell me, I feel, as even if she implied that the things we were using was probably ineffective, I'd change them to prevent what was clearly unwanted at that stage. Anyways, I went over to take my things this morning, and we're on better terms. She'll be leaving the house, as it's under my name, in a week's time for her parents' place too. I do forgive her. I have asked her to seek support if need be, professionally that is, and she has agreed. Thank you for all of the help and support. I'm grieving both losses now, but I'm hopeful that one is for the better. God bless. Dang. That's a lot of stuff to figure out. That's a lot of stuff to find out after you break up with someone. I wonder why she hid the abortions from him. Not me literally Googling. Because I don't want to be insensitive about it. Like, I'm sure there are things. And sometimes I just, like, can't clock things in my brain. Obviously, it's her choice to, like, tell. And it's her choice 100% what to do, like, in that situation. And maybe she just didn't want, like, anyone else's outside opinions. It says fear of partner's reactions, which obviously I don't know him, so maybe he could have gone violent or aggressive. I mean, from what I read, I don't think that would be the case, but then again, I'm not in their relationship, so maybe she was scared. You never know. Shame and guilt. She may feel embarrassed about the pregnancy or the decision to have an abortion, or even guilt over the considering the option. Relationship concerns, external pressures, stigma and social judgment, desire for a different future. She may have a different personal vision for the future that doesn't include a child at that time and wants to keep the decision private. Fear of legal or professional consequences, which I don't think is either the case. I just feel like I would have to tell my partner because I would want his support. Because I don't know how I would react in that situation. Like, I feel like I would be okay to, like, work through it by myself. But, and also, like, I don't really, like, I completely see it as my decision and my choice. And I don't, which I know not everyone does. And a lot of people, there is, like, a stigma around it. So I know a lot of people could be, like, feel ashamed and want to keep it a secret from their partner. I just feel like I personally don't feel that, like, stigma. I feel like, I don't know. I guess I just feel safe with my partner, so, which I'm really grateful for, and I feel like he would just help me so much if I was going through that and I wasn't handling it well. Because I feel like you can never really know, like, how you would handle it. Like, I might be, like, fine and not even have much of a reaction, or I might be, like, super upset and sad, or even in the future, maybe my mind would be, like, it would get harder. I don't know. You never know how you're going to react in a situation. Someone said, not to shit on your memory of your brother, but isn't anybody else sus that the ex kept 2 pregnancies from OP and then got a tattoo of the brother on her? There are a million different ways to honor someone, but to have his face on her and then get violent when she was asked to cover or remove it, are you sure she didn't have a thing with him? And commenter 2 said, there's absolutely no value to OP for you to even suggest it. All you'll just have done is make OP question his dead brother, even if only for a moment. Some things don't need to be effing said. OP responded to that and said, hi, I appreciate this. I have considered that angle, and it has hurt a lot to even think about. I've gone over it again and again, though, and I think it isn't likely at all. This, as well as speaking to my parents about it, who think it's unlikely too. My brother was my best friend, and I know he wouldn't have hurt me in that way. And then someone said, I mean, it's still wild. She probably dropped like $300 to $500 on the tattoo in the first place and now has to wait 3 to 4 months to get it removed. The violence was kind of unsurprising as a reader. She's not being rational, and those kinds of people usually resort to violence in the end. Good luck. And then another person said, can we talk about OP's parents having to mediate and chaperone a situation where someone unrelated to them got a tattoo of their deceased son's face? Because that's crazy. That is crazy. We're going to move on to the next story. And the title is Me, 27 female, with my boyfriend, 50 male. Of 3 months. His kid warned me about him. Red flag, trigger warnings, neglect, and alienation. I've been dating Jesse for about 3 months. It's been a bit of a whirlwind romance. Jesse is the kind of guy I've always wanted, confident and smart, and makes me feel like a princess. The sex is great, and I feel like we have a deep connection. Last Friday, Jesse and I went out and ran into his son, Julian, 19, at the bar. Julian shouldn't have been there as he is underage, so I assume he had a fake ID. Jesse was excited to see him, but Julian seemed like he didn't want to see Jesse at all. It was very awkward. Later, while Jesse was talking to someone he knew from work, Julian approached me. He told me He'll get tired of you. He won't care about you anymore and just see you as something he has to spend money on, and then he'll find something new. He always does. He said he was sorry and then left the bar. I didn't know how to respond, so I talked to Jesse. He told me how his ex-wife and stepdaughters had poisoned Julian against him. I've always known Jesse to be very generous, so I don't believe the money part is true, but I do know that Jesse hardly ever spends time with his son. He says Julian won't answer his calls or texts and avoids him. Jesse also works a significant amount and finds it difficult to balance his time. How do I know if this is a red flag or not? This kid could just have a warped perception of his father, but I can't help but feel bad for Julian. He seemed really sad at the bar. I'm assuming he's probably right. Also, how old is the son, please? 19? Oh. Okay. I mean, immediate reaction, like the age 27 and 50. Jankies. The bachelors that are like older and they're like constantly, first of all, dating younger girls and also constantly being like looking for a new relationship or something, like it's giving that you probably don't want to be in a relationship, or like you like it's giving like I probably wouldn't want to get into a relationship with a guy like that because I'm kind of scared of why, like, why is he not in a relationship? And why is he going after a 27-year-old? That's my immediate reaction. I would be like, also, yeah, I'm sure I don't feel like his son has anything to get out of that. Like, being honest with her, it's not like what would he be trying to get out of that? It's not like he's trying to get money from her or anything. And of course, and it's also kind of like big red flag that like his ex-wife and stepdaughters and everyone's just against him. Like, oh, they turned everyone against me, even my own son. Or maybe you're the problem. Maybe, just maybe, the 50-year-old that's dating a 27-year-old is the problem. I am 27 years old, and if I dated a 50-year-old, God help me. Okay. Someone said, Julian's mother, the said ex-wife, it would be pretty messed up to me if a biological child chose his stepmother and stepsisters over his father, and that would be a serious red flag to me. OP said, she is the mother. His sisters are half siblings. And then someone said, I'm always surprised at just how biased this subreddit is against relationships with age gaps. It's not like you're 18 and he's preying on your inexperience. You're a grown woman. There's nothing inherently wrong with the age gap in your relationship. Anyway, never let someone else into your relationship. This kid clearly has an agenda, and he probably doesn't have your best interest at heart. This is supported by the fact that Jesse's excitement to see his son only went one way. There's a bitterness there, and it's not coming from Jesse. Keep Julian's words in mind in case you see any other red flags, like how did Jesse's previous relationships go? But don't let those words supersede your gut feeling about the relationship. Girl. I don't know if you're a girl or not, but girl. A grown woman? I mean, yeah, I do consider myself grown, but like definitely at a completely different level than a 50-year-old with 23 more years of experience in life than me. Like, that is a big difference. That is a big difference. Just because, sorry, I'm biased, apparently. I am. I'm sorry. I'm biased. Like, I just think it's like, I do think that there is that, like, inexperience that you're mentioning. There is a little bit of that. Like, just because you're not 18 doesn't mean that you're not inexperienced. Like, I'm still inexperienced. I'm 27. I'm still inexperienced. Like, especially compared to a 50-year-old who's experienced so much more life and had kids and raised a child who is now, like, an adult, who is a 19-year-old. Like, someone said he's 50 years old chasing after a 27-year-old. Listen to his son. Someone that feels too good to be true usually is. And then someone said, you're 27, he's 50. He's with you because you're significantly younger and have a better body and a higher sex drive than women his own age. Open your eyes. If Julian were 12, then maybe don't believe him. but he's 19. Had his mom poison him against Jesse, then Julian would have come to the realization by now that his mom was lying. I'm sure there's a reason, yeah, for sure, that he was like, oh, so swayed to take his mom's side on that. Okay, this is 3 months later. Hi, it's been a couple of months since my last post. Thanks for all of the advice, even though it was tough to hear. I ended up deciding to move forward with the relationship, but keep an eye out for any other red flags. To backtrack, early in our relationship, I got a text from a friend of mine that had seen Jesse at the local strip club. I spoke to Jesse about it, and he said he did not consider it cheating because he did not get lap dances or touch the dancers. I let him know then that I would let it slide, but in the future, I'm not okay with him going to strip clubs without talking to me about it first. He agreed. But I kept noticing he would be out working late. He told me he had an emergency, flood, and had to work late, and I ended up seeing him at a gas station that I was driving by. I stopped and talked to him, and he said he had just gotten off work, but he smelled like cigarettes and alcohol, and his clothes weren't dirty like they typically are when he works flood damages. I also noticed he was very protective of his work phone. He leaves his other cell phone out all the time, but once I asked to use his work phone to look something up, and he basically told me no and to go get my phone charging in the other room. It all just built up, so I snooped. I got up in the middle of the night when I was staying at his place, and I looked through both phones. On his work phone, I found texts to escorts and strippers. On his other cell, I found a ton of texts to his ex-wife, who he promised me he didn't talk to anymore unless it was about Julian. Apparently, she just started dating again a month ago, and he absolutely shredded her for it. He said some very cruel things like, "You must have found a guy who loves fat asses if he'll be seen with you." She never replied, as far as I can tell. Looking at those texts, I knew that any future with Jesse was going to end like this. I also saw that he never messages Julian. What's worse, their text feed is Julian reaching out every couple of months and getting ignored. One text from a few months ago was Julian telling him that his band had a gig and asked if he would come. I remember that weekend. Me and Jesse stayed in that night and had a bunch of sex. He never even mentioned his son had a show. I felt so sick. I went online and bought 10 copies of his band's EP a few days later. In the end, I decided to just ghost him. He obviously had no respect for our relationship, and I felt I didn't know him anything. When he was at work, I got all of my things out of his apartment and left a note. I just wrote that his family was right about him and to not contact me again. He texted me later that he had an emergency and had to work late. He obviously hadn't seen my note, and I just didn't respond. The next day, he found the note and started messaging me about it. I decided to take a page from his ex-wife's book and ignore him. As the week moved on and he realized I was serious, the messages started getting hateful, things that I don't care to repeat. I blocked his number then. It is disturbing for me to think about what a cruel and vicious person he ended up being. If Julian hadn't talked to me at that bar, how much longer would it have taken for me to see this side of him? I also have this weird guilty feeling that I'm a homewrecker, even though Jesse obviously wrecked his home himself. I really thought of me and Jesse as having a potential for a long-term relationship. It hurts to have those hopes crushed. I'm not getting any younger. Girl, you're 27. I got a lot of comments last post about the age gap. I'm not really interested in that. I know several couples with significant age gaps. I'm a grown woman, not a teenager, and I can choose to date someone older. Hopefully it won't be an asshole next time. Okay, of course, you can choose to date someone older, but I'm just saying there's a reason that they're older and they're not in a relationship, and it's probably because they don't really want to be, and they see them as very temporary, right? Like, look at Dave Portnoy, for an example. He strings these young 24, 25-year-olds along, and then he cuts them off because he doesn't want to be married. He doesn't want to have kids. He's just like a guy that is stuck in his glory days. Sorry, I hope Dave Portnoy doesn't see this and tear me to shreds. He's never going to see this, but you know what I mean? It's like because typically, yeah, it's their decision. I mean, obviously there are other cases where it's like maybe they're widows or maybe it's like they just actually don't want to be in a relationship. But a lot of the time, if you're dating a 50-year-old and you're in your 20s, that's going to be the type of guy that you're dating. You're dating one of those bachelor men that, like, you look in their fridge and all there is a can of Bush Light and they go to strip clubs with their friends at night. Like, it's not her fault at all. Never gonna blame her, but also just keep that in mind when you're like trying to I don't know. I just feel like more often than not, usually an age gap relationship, when it happens to be an older man and a younger woman, it's usually the guy is just, there's a reason he's single. There's a reason he's in and out of relationships, because he either is stringing these girls along or he just literally sucks. And that's him, this type of personality. Like, he's going to the strip club. He's saying he has to work late at night and he's going to a strip club. And he's probably literally sleeping with so many escorts. Someone said, good on you for getting out. Think about dropping a note to Julian so you can thank him for the warning. The kid might feel better knowing that his warning helped someone for once. Besides, it can be validating when dealing with an abusive asshole to have someone else go, yep, he's a jerk. And you were right. Oh, she also said, edit, thanks for teaching me a lesson. This is a painful time for me. I won't be responding to any more comments or PMs. Thanks. And then someone said, the age difference is a big thing. Do you relate to someone who is 23 years older than you? If you intend to be with this person for the foreseeable future, have you considered that in 10 years, when you are not even 40 yet, he will be 60? Yes, you are a grown woman, but why so much older? There's a reason people are making comments. But you're right, it's your life. If you're not interested in advice, don't take it or ask for it. OP said, I obviously don't see myself with him in the future because I broke it off with him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, girl. I'm sorry you're going through that. I don't want to be like a judgmental asshole or anything. And I don't want to be like, I told you so. I told you so. Because, yeah, at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to be putting that blame on the woman for choosing a shitty man. It's the shitty man's fault for being a shitty man. And I don't want to be like, I don't want to be a misogynist and be like, well, you should have known better, you know, which is kind of what I've been doing for the past, like, 5 minutes. So I do apologize for that. But, like, men at any age can be like little chungus, you know, like men at any age. So it's really not about the age, but there are things to say about the age, in my opinion. And you deserve someone that isn't gonna disrespect you and go to strip clubs and be a stupid chungus, okay? The top comment says, pretends to be shocked by the update. Jesse works so much and finds it so hard to balance his time. But there's always time for sex and love bombing and following up on his ex's love life so he can tear her down some more. Yeah, he is the biggest POS ever. Because him texting his ex-wife being like, you're probably saying that she's like an old, saggy lady with like, I don't even know what he's saying, but probably some really shitty things like that, because men that are older, like shitty men that are older, love to be like shitting on women's ages. Like, oh my God, that's the craziest part, is like these men that are like 50 will comment on a woman being like 40 and being like, no one wants your old ass. No one wants your old saggy ass. Like, that is always the craziest thing to me. All right, we're moving on to the next story, and the title is, I left my boyfriend over his foot fetish and I hate myself. I was with him for a year and our relationship was effing amazing. He constantly made me feel loved and always treated me with respect. He was always doing little things for me and would help me with stuff even when I didn't ask for it. The sex was amazing too. It just felt like we were compatible on every level. About 3 months ago, he told me he had something to confess. He said that he had a foot fetish and that he hadn't told me about it because an ex of his had taken it weird and he didn't want me to think badly of him. Looking back, it was kind of obvious since he would always compliment my nail polish and was pretty eager to rub my feet if I asked him to. He even paid for me to get a pedicure because he said French tips would look cute on me. Nothing really changed much after that point. He wasn't pushy or anything, but he would suck on my toes during sex, which admittedly felt pretty good. I was hanging out with three of my friends a few weekends ago, and I mentioned that he liked my feet. Two of them started telling me that was a red flag and that he might be a creep. I'd seen some people who were weird about it online before, but they were showing me all of these weird websites and forums and people who take creep shots of women's feet, and I started feeling anxious. My third friend, who was there, was neutral about it, but she told me to maybe talk to him because he had never really given off those kind of vibes. I stupidly didn't and pushed it to the back of my head until I saw him again 2 days later. We were at my apartment and we were messing around. He started to kiss my feet and I pulled back from him. He asked me what was wrong, and I spent like 10 minutes just repeating what my friends had told me and about how people who like feet are weird and don't care about anything else. He looked really sad and told me he didn't know I felt like that about him. He got up and left. I don't know why I said any of that stupid crap to him. He had never been creepy. He had never been anything but loving to me, but I called him a perv. And then I immediately turned to my friends, and they were telling me that he was confirmed one of those creepy feet guys because he left instead of talking to me and apologizing. My neutral friend, again, told me to talk to him, but I spent 2 days thinking to myself that there must be something wrong with him. He didn't contact me again, so I texted him, quote, "We need to talk about our relationship." He texted back he would come over that night, and he did. He was holding a box of my stuff I had left at his place and said, quote, "I'm not going to stay with someone who thinks that I'm a predator." And then he just walked away. I was stunned and didn't say anything, but that quickly turned to anger. I just thought, they were right. He's an effing creep and I'm glad he's gone. I turned to my friends again, and the two told me they'd help me get over him and hook me up with someone normal. My neutral friend advised me again to not leave my relationship like this, but I'm an idiot. I'm horrible. I'm an effing piece of shit, and I deserve everything I get. Every night the past month I've been thinking about him, and the more I think, the bigger that pit in my stomach gets. It all exploded a week ago. I got extremely drunk and had that horrible realization hit me all at once. I lost the man I loved over nothing. Nothing. It was my effing fault, and I would never be with him again. I was sobbing hysterically and called both of my two friends who had egged me on. I told them that I never want to see them again, and some other things that I won't repeat here. I blocked them on everything. My other friend tried calling me, but I couldn't bear to talk to her. It was about 1 a.m. when I called him. He hadn't blocked me, so it went through. I begged him to take me back. I told him about what my friends had told me. I told him he wasn't a perv and that I should never have told him that. I told him I loved him more than anything and that I trusted him, that he could do whatever he wanted with any part of my body, and that I would never think he was some kind of creep because I know he isn't like that. He cut me off eventually. He told me that if I was drinking to please stop and go to sleep. He sounded so sad and it just shattered my heart again. He tried calling me earlier tonight, but I didn't pick up. I'm so scared that he's going to tell me to just F off and leave him alone. I know I would deserve it. I know I deserve worse, but I can't do it. I love him so effing much. I need him. I just want him to hold me again and touch me wherever he wants and tell me that he forgives me. I feel like throwing up whenever I think that he might never be with me again. I wish I wasn't such a stupid bee. Girl, you're going crazy on yourself. The self-deprecation is crazy. I definitely think that it was wrong of her to do that. That's really sad, honestly, because the guy was like obviously not wanting to come off too strong about that because he's like gotten rejection before about that. And I mean, I don't see anything wrong with a foot fetish as long as you're not being a weirdo creep about it and taking pictures of girls' feet like against their will. That would be like, yeah, you're weird. Why are you doing that? But like, he's not being creepy and you know that. Someone said, "You're too easily swayed by people. You're the red flag. He literally gave you foot rubs and paid for your pedicures. LMAO, you lost out big time." No, seriously, because I'm always asking my boyfriend for foot rubs. So honestly, I'd be kind of hyped if my boyfriend had a foot fetish, even though he would not have a fetish for my feet. He'd be like, my feet are... I like never keep up with painting my toes. So there's always like remnants of the last time I painted my toes. And like, I definitely need to get pedicures, but like, why do I actually hate sitting? I do love like the feeling of a pedicure, but like, I hate how long it takes to go get a pedicure and your nails done and stuff. Like, I really hate it. Okay, edits on the main post. I texted him that I would call him back tomorrow if he still wants to talk. He replied that that would be fine. Also, about my friends, I'm going to try to talk to all three of them. I'm still going to cut off the two that pushed me to do this because the more I think about it, the more I remember little details that make it seem like they've never really liked my ex. My other friend, I'm going to try to call tomorrow. I really need to apologize to her too. I realize that even if there was pressure on me, this is 100% my fault. I should have taken the time to recognize that my ex was nothing like they were making him out to be, and I shouldn't have discussed his fetish with them. Although I never really discussed the sexual part of it and just told them that he thought my feet were cute. I should have never talked about it. I'm going to tell him all of this when we talk. Edit 2, I texted him again asking if he'd be okay, meeting up in person rather than talking over the phone. I would rather see him face to face and apologize directly to him rather than over the phone. He replied that he was fine with that, so I'll be heading over to meet him around noon. Let me preface this next part by saying I know none of this absolves me at all for what I've done, but I want to give some context to this situation. I've been together with those three friends of mine since high school. We have always been very close, and I've trusted them with a lot of intimate details about my life. We all helped each other through bad times and enjoyed a lot of the good times too. They were also my first really close friends. In grade school and early high school, I kept a lot to myself and didn't interact very much with other kids. I have other friends now, but no one I trust as much as them. I think a lot of you are right in saying that I have no spine and I've let them choose everything for me. Now that I think about it, I'm struggling to think of a time when I chose what we were doing on a particular day or when we were eating and other stuff. And I think I was like that with my ex too, letting him pick whatever, even when he specifically asked me what I wanted. I know none of that is an excuse for my weakness, but that's been my life. I've already looked up some therapists that accept my insurance, and I'm going to call one to schedule an appointment. After reading a lot of these comments, I'm starting to get more scared at the prospect of him taking me back and me hurting him horribly again in some way. I don't know if I should tell him any of this, but I'm writing down some notes to keep my thoughts on what I'm going to say to him organized. First, I'm going to apologize to him for what I did, even if that's the only thing I can get out before he leaves. I'm going to tell him how sorry I am and that I'll go with whatever he decides, even if that means I never see him again. Thank you for all of the comments. I know I'm not a good person, but I'm going to try to be better. And if he does take me back, I'm going to become someone he deserves to be with. I'll probably make an update post later if anything happens. I think that if you don't know if you're going to hurt him again, you probably shouldn't get back together with him. Unless you're like sure that you're not going to hurt him. Okay, this is the final update. 1 day later. Before I start, I don't intend anything in this update to be taken as a self-absolution of guilt or blame. I accept that I'm the one that screwed up and the blame rests solely on me. I'm not trying to diminish that or what I did. So there's a park about halfway between both of our places. We decided to meet there. I arrived a few minutes before he did and was very nervous. When I saw him walking up, I felt the urge to cry, but I drove it down. I didn't want to do anything that would make him think I'm trying to manipulate him. It was worse when he hugged me, but I managed to compose myself. He asked how I was doing, and I told him the truth, that I was messed up. I asked him the same, and he told me he was okay, but he had that same look on his face from the last time I saw him. I asked him if I could tell him something before we talked about anything else, and I pulled out the apology that I had written in my notes. I told him I was sorry for everything. I was sorry for making him feel unsafe with me. I was sorry for ever insinuating that he was a pervert. I was sorry for betraying his trust and telling others about our sex life. I was sorry for not communicating with him, for not standing up for him, for not standing up for myself and letting my opinion of him be colored by anything other than the two of us, for leaving him in the dark for a month and not talking to him sooner, my drunken rant, for trying to emotionally manipulate him into coming back to me, and especially for making him feel like I still thought he was a perv. I was sorry for hurting him the same way his ex had. At one point, I noticed he was tearing up, and I couldn't hold it in anymore. I cried while I finished reading it to him. I told him that I was truly happy with him, and I hope he isn't put off from exploring his fetish in the future, whoever that might be with. He thanked me and we cried together for a little while. He started talking and told me the reason he called me was that 2 of my friends had contacted him and explained that they were worried about me and told him some of what had happened. It was a neutral friend along with one of the 2 friends who had fed me stuff about foot fetishes. I didn't get a lot of specifics and I didn't ask anything else because there was more important stuff he wanted to talk about, but I guess I could get what happened straight from one of them. I was a little deflated after he told me this and worried that he might think I was trying to manipulate him through my friends, but he quickly moved on. He told me the whole story about his ex. They had been together for longer than we had, about 2 years before he told her about his fetish. The difference was that she was immediately disgusted by it. She told him she was leaving no matter how much he begged and promised he would never bring it up again. But then he told me what I did felt so much worse because it seemed like I had accepted him only to stab him in the back. I wanted to get on my knees and beg him to forgive me, but I let him finish. In the end, we were both quiet for a while before he asked if we were done. I know I should have been strong and told him that I would go with whatever he decided, but I'm weak. I asked him if there was any chance that we could still be together. He told me that he still had feelings for me, but that he couldn't handle me hurting him again. I mentioned the stuff with my friends and that I was looking to start therapy. He told me he was happy that I was doing that, but it wasn't changing his mind. He said there might be a chance in the future after I've worked on myself, but right now he was too hurt. I get the feeling that he was just saying that so I wouldn't be hurt. We hugged again and said goodbye, and I had to fight the very urge in my body to not run after him. I know I screwed up at the end, but I'm taking steps to make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm going to call my friend, the neutral one, and ask if she can forgive me for not talking to her too. And maybe if she can come over and hide my phone from me so I don't get the urge to bother him. I don't know about my 2 other friends. I don't know about anything right now. I spent like 5 of the last 6 hours crying and I feel just about out of tears. I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep. I think I'm going to just try and sleep and then continue looking for therapists in the morning. I don't know if I'll update anymore, so sorry if anyone was expecting more. Extra edit. So this is going to be the last thing I'll post. I slept for a while, and when I woke up, my friend got in contact with me and came over. She wasn't the least bit mad at me and was concerned that I hadn't talked to her. I apologized profusely. I really don't deserve her kindness, but honestly, it felt good after everything today. To the people who messaged me with concern, thank you, and I think I'll be fine. I'm still going to go to therapy to work on my problems and make sure I never do something like this to someone I love ever again. I'm probably never posting on this account again. I had some people messaging me some weird shit claiming to be people in my life, so if you ever see someone try and make an update for this story, it's not actually me. The only person in my circle that actually uses Reddit is my friend that's with me now. I showed her this and she's assured me that she won't post about it. Good night. I feel so bad for the guy. I feel so bad for him. Like, that's honestly so sad that he had to deal with that multiple times with someone that he loved. And, like, he even hid that from his ex for 2 years. Like, that's so sad. The top comment says, damn, imagine blowing up your relationship because your man likes your feet. And then someone responded and said, what really gets me is that she liked the attention he gave to her feet. She could have had it all. And this is why you don't tell your friends details about your sex life. And then someone said, as far as kinks go, a foot fetish and sucking on toes is like the least weird kink I can imagine. No, yeah, that's how I feel too. Like, I can understand if it was something like that you can't really accept. I don't even know what I'm thinking of. But something that it's just like very outlandish, that is just like very niche, I would understand. But like a foot fetish, I mean, I've never met anyone with a foot fetish. Well, I probably have met someone with a foot fetish. I just didn't know. But when I was like in college, I always wanted to try to sell my feet pics. I was like, somebody buy my feet pics, please. Like, I will gladly give out hundreds of thousands of pictures of my feet. Like, you want me to spray ketchup on them? Okay. I'll send you a picture with them in ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, like in between a fucking turkey club. I don't care. Whatever you want. Like, I really just give me like $30 and you'll have some pictures. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think I would love if like that my boyfriend were like buying feet pictures but I also wouldn't be comfortable with my boyfriend, like, knowing, like, if he had like, I don't want to know if he's ever purchased from, like, OnlyFans or something, like, because that would make me, like, really, I'd be like, I don't like that. I mean, I just don't like that. That it's so different than, like, and I support the women doing it, but I just personally would not want to date someone that has bought that previously, because it's like, you it's such a different situation than just like going on Cornhub and being like, okay, look up this. That's like, okay, whatever. Every guy does that before, especially like before getting in a relationship, or when they're not in relationships, or even just like when they're younger and they're like going through puberty and stuff. But like, there's something so like specific and personal about the spicy sites. I don't want to say it too many times on here. I'm not promoting anything. I don't have one. So don't take me down, people of the YouTube corporation, okay? But anyways, that's the end of this episode. Let me know what you thought about those stories. I need a snack before I film the last episode I have to film today. And I'm going to go have some Drizzlicious. The French toast bites of the Drizzlicious freaking brand are so good. So good. Actually, all of them are so good, but like, I have the French toast bites right now and they're really good. Anyways, I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye. Mwah.
Storytime Society is now available on all listening platforms. If you are on any of those listening platforms, I would really appreciate it if you rated me 5 stars. Thanks for all the support.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.